Damson Idris was on Hollywood Reporter, where honestly, you know what's interesting? I don't even know if you guys know this. The look, remember when I first designed the look of this studio, back in 2015? That was the look I had in my mind. Oh, the Hollywood Reporter set, where it's like completely pitch black around them, just a couple of lights in the background, and they're sitting around the table. That's what I had in mind. So that's why it was so dark in here, until we started changing stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so Damson Idris was on that show where they had a bunch of famous actors, and they always talk about like talking shop. Points. Yeah. So let's watch what he said that got everybody talking this week.
I was hitting a block, right? I was like, I'm not doing it. So then I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, come to me. Because I had to do something like crazy. I had nightmares for a month. So it does come. Up to it or after? After. I had nightmares every day. Like, I felt that energy.
Oh, interesting.
And I had to pray and do all this stuff to get rid of it. And you call your mom up, and you're like, bring me back to life. That stuff is real. That stuff really is real.
Yeah, and it's like you were talking about praying. I'll pray before a big scene. I'll say, I know not to who I conceive it to be, but just let me do your work, man. What do you want me to? Yeah, and I think that same guy, whoever that thing is out there, is kind of prepping me all the way along. You think about it, and sometimes you can bring it like it sounds like you were doing. You bring it into your conscious self, and you can. That's where we imagine shit. Man, we're powerful.
The body, man. The
body doesn't know you're pretending.
Nothing's sacred.
Right.
You can use anything.
Yeah.
I've used that. I would never tell anybody what's going on in my mind. I know. Nothing is sacred.
So,
it's not just Damon Idris.
So, yeah, it's a lot to talk about there. I kind of feel bad for him because I'm like, he was so innocently just trying to be honest, but it was like the wildest thing he could have said. I think they were all like,
the funny part was he was being honest. Like, I had to do that. I asked God, help me, my mom, everything. And Jeff Bridges was like, we all do it. I don't know what you were calling, but when I call him, he just worked.
But I don't think Jeff Bridges knows what he's praying to. I think he's just anyway. So I know a lot of people are talking about that this week, but what it reminded me of is a topic we had a long time ago. Can Christians be actors? Because, I mean, of course you can, but I'm talking about like major roles, because I'm thinking about like Denzel Washington and some of the stuff he's had to do, and he says he's a Christian. So how as a Christian can you do some of the things that these people have to do in these shows? But beyond that, why was he doing that? What?
Well, I think okay, using him as an example, I think he's on a show called Snowfall, and Snowfall is it's kind of based on a story of Freeway Ricky Ross. If you know that, you can go Google that yourself. Mm-hmm. He was a former big drug kingpin in the 80s in Los Angeles. So I'm guessing, because I haven't seen that show, but I heard that the show is very violent, is very, of course, dealing with the drug trade and all this other stuff. So I'm sure whatever that scene was that he said that he asked the devil to help him with was probably very vulgar or very like violent heavy. So, and he probably couldn't do it himself because he's like, man, I got a conscience, and I didn't know the devil just could be in a corner and just come to you like that. I didn't know. I thought, you know, it's so funny. It's like you thinking of, like, okay, for example, when you think about God and you think about church in the presence of God, it's like you could be anywhere to access to get the presence of God. Like you could be in your house by yourself and you could be worshiping and the presence of God happens, or you could be there. Yeah. But you never thought like the dangers of that is now that somebody could be watching that and be like, oh, word, that's what we doing? Mm-hmm. We don't need a pentagram no more? You know what I mean? So that's just the that's the scary part about it, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, none of the symbols and all the ritual stuff means anything. I mean, all those spirits are available at any time. and what it sounds like to me is that, I mean,
1-800 spirits.
We're kind of laughing about it, but it's scary that a lot of these, I know, what's the guy who played Joker that died?
Heath Ledger.
A lot of people are saying that with him, where he had to go to so many dark places that it drove him like
insane.
And imagine like embodying evil people. The guy who played the serial killer,
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer was on there, and that's what started the whole conversation. The moderator was basically saying, "How did you
get that
do
role?
that?
Yeah, because he played it good. He played Jeffrey Dahmer.
How did you get to that place?" And he was just explaining like he really had to practice, and that's what prompted Damson to say something, because he was like, "Well, this is what I did." It's like,
and everybody was like, "Oh, is it okay to say that we do Satan? We call Satan?"
I think they were all like, "You're not supposed to say it." You're not
supposed to revoke your Hollywood card.
So it was just interesting to me that he was so honest about that, and I don't know how everybody else is gonna take this this week. You know, all the Christian YouTuber guys. I don't know how they're gonna take it as kind of vilifying him. I took it as, oh, this kid doesn't know what he did.
Yeah,
he realized what he did quickly and said he prayed to get rid of it. I don't know if these people all know how serious all of this is.
Oh, spirituality, yeah.
Like, this is not for play. This is not a game.
Yeah.
Like, there's, again, the Bible describes that there's wars going on spiritually all around you, and by the grace of God, are you still okay? Right?
Yeah,
like, this is really serious. So to literally ask the devil for help with something, I would have just had to quit that role if I needed his help. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I got to do something so foul in a scene, I guess instinctively he knew I can't ask God for help in this.
God help me.
Help me play this evil person.
Yeah.
So I guess he thought that would be the next logical person to act, but like that I can't even process how scary that would be.
I'll say this. There's been documentaries I've seen, I think, was it on YouTube? Where they talk about, like, of course, I kind of said it before the show started. I was telling y'all some stuff. About a ministry that they dig into Hollywood, and how Hollywood for years have been into the occult.
Yeah.
Of people, different famous actresses. And this is not going from the 90s, 80s. This is talking about like 40s, 50s, like when like in the heyday of Hollywood, people going to psychics, or people chanting, and people trying to invoke spirits so they can do a certain role. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the thing is that we don't understand. I think some people don't understand the power of spirituality, or they do understand the power of spirituality. And my scare for that video is now that other actors that may be on their come up, like, yo, this role is telling me to, I gotta have sex with two dudes in the scene, and I just can't do it. So let me call it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just seeing those things where people are like doing stuff, like, because to me, like, and now as I think about it, it's kind of scary. When he was saying, like, come on, devil, come on, like, to invite the devil into you, and he comes that quickly, versus in your mind, you're thinking that you got to do a seance, you got to do all this other crap. And you're not thinking that if you just saying those things in your heart, and your heart is asking for those things, he like, I knock too. I answer doors too. You sure you want to open this door? You know what I mean? So I think those questions is the question. One of those questions is Hollywood demonic? Like when me and my wife went on vacation to LA, we saw a bunch of psychic and a bunch of spiritual stuff. Like, I mean, we saw a few churches, but we saw a lot of spiritual, like, occultish type stuff.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I don't know him.
Yeah.
But what do you think happened here? Is this a non-Christian? Because in my opinion, you don't even have to ask the devil to come in.
Oh yeah.
There's no ritual required, right?
Yeah.
Is this a situation where a Christian did something really dumb and then the Holy Spirit convicted him? Is that what the nightmares were? Or is this a non-Christian who invited demons into his soul, like how the Bible describes that need to be casted out into the pigs? Is this somebody who was literally possessed, that was struggling with possession?
Yeah.
It turned him towards God for help, and he was able to get through it.
Like, how to get experience, or his mom.
What in your mind? What him saying that? What does that mean to you?
Based off what he described, I don't know his faith. So based off what he's described on the whole story, it sounded like he was called on the devil. Devil came through for him. He didn't know the repercussions of after that scene was still with him for months. So after he did that, he had to get help. He had to get his mom to pray for him. That's what it kind of sounded like. So from the question you're asking, it sounds like it was B. It was more a non-believer asking the devil for some help because he didn't think, like you said, like, I can't do this. So what's my only logic is what's evil? The devil is evil. So let me call on the devil. That happened, and then boom, he had the repercussions of that of feeling demonic presence while you sleep. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I
don't know. I would hate to assume that 100%. Just maybe it's his accent, but he just seems so like nice. So I'm like, I'm open.
Nice
to
is not a fruit of the spirit.
It's not, well. I just want to believe that it possibly. Let's say he was, because we don't know who he was praying to afterwards either, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say he was a Christian kid that did something dumb, and he realized he did something dumb.
So you think he's a believer?
No, I'm just saying,
okay.
What if? Right? Okay. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I would love to ask him if we ever met him one day. What's going on with you? Why did you do that? If he was a Christian that did this, because I'm trying to bring this back to our old question.
Yeah.
If he's a Christian that did this, realized that he made a mistake, what does he do from now on in these roles? Because even in that discussion, he said, I'm not playing a drug dealer for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that because that was really bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? How would a Christian navigate this world playing these evil people, these terrible people? Like, how do you do that as a Christian?
Well, I'll say it's two things. Now, I think we're in a place where you can create your own content if you want to be an actor and different things of that nature. I would say this, just hear me out first. But then also there's Christian organizations that do exist that do film. Now, you want to go that route, if you want to be on the Kirk Cameron kind of side of stuff, you can either do it that way or you could do it his sister way. His sister's way is like doing those Hallmark movies where it's like, it's not edgy, it's really safe for the whole family type of stuff. You could be in those type of things. So you have those options. You have three options, I would say. You have the straight kind of like the, what's the brothers that make the movies here in Georgia?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, that did Fireproof and Facing Giants. You can either go that direction, which is the Kirk Cameron way, or you can play it safe like his sister, where it's just like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not doing that.
So you're saying it's not possible. So then,
no, but,
how do you?
But
how
the
do you,
third one is you can
character-
go in and you just gotta, you either stick to your guns and know that you can go that way, but at the same time, it's going to hurt you in the long run because people may not call you back if you have those high standards. I'm not kissing nobody. I can't kiss nobody else. I can't do this. I can't do that. They're going to be like, then why don't you just do Christian movies? I mean, that's what a producer probably will tell you. Like, so, why don't you just do Christian movies or do clean movies? What are you doing?
So we have friends that went to Hollywood to do some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
They went to Hollywood to act. Candace went to act. We had our guy Coors went to go direct films over there. And it's just like, there are actors watching us right now.
Yeah.
What is the advice? Forget the Oscar, forget the EGOT, forget all that stuff. You ain't getting it. Go do some Hallmark movies.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's going to be people out there that will respect your wishes of doing what you're doing and be like, okay, I respect that. So if you're going to shoot, if you're not going to do that, then okay, maybe this role is for you, or we got this role, or whatever. But what I'm saying is, the deeper you get into Hollywood, I think they're more like, either you're going to do this or you're not. We got a bunch of people online right here ready to do what you want to do. I just want
to give them hope. What major movies that have come out in the last couple years, I would say Oscar-worthy or not, that a Christian could have done no problem? Because, I mean, we got Chris Pratt doing Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
He says he's a Christian, right?
Yeah.
But he cursed in the last movie, right? Would you suggest a Christian do that?
But that's what I'm saying. It depends on you as a believer. If you feel like I don't want to curse on screen, then I'm not doing that movie. You get what I'm saying?
So what movie could he, the non-cursing, non-sex scene,
Facing the Giants.
Evil. What can you do?
Angel Studios. Pureflix.
So you're saying it's not possible?
I just don't see how you can do a movie that we're not in. Okay, if this was the 90s, yeah. If this was the 90s, early 2000s, yeah, because we creating movies. We were watching movies back in the day that had moral messages that even if you said one bad word or you said, you implied something, it still came off with a meaning behind that movie.
I could think of a bunch right now. Top Gun Maverick. Christian could have been in that movie, no problem.
Yeah, it
none
could
in
have
that
been.
movie
Yeah.
that was bad. Gravity. Remember the old movie Gravity? I still think that could have been a Christian movie.
Yeah.
There's a ton of movies you can play in that you don't have to do crazy
No,
stuff.
but I'm not saying every movie you're playing in, you just got to get, when you get the script for certain stuff, and then people, because majority of the time, casting calls is basically, you get a script, and you say, okay, this is what the movie's about, or whatever.
You
and
get
then
to read it.
You get to read it, and then you figure it out like, boom, like, yo, should I do this? Should I not? Should I look for another way? Should I, you know what I'm saying? So I just don't know that, depending on the producer of that film, the director, everybody that's a part of that film, on if they would take your requirements or whatever you trying to do that serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard stories of certain actors say, you know, I didn't kiss in this scene and they wanted me because of my standard. That's great. I don't know if that's all of Hollywood though. You know what I'm saying?
So it's easier for a film because you could read the script and decide, do I want to do this or not? But for TV, it's different. You may get a couple of scripts, but you're not getting a whole series.
Yeah.
So your character may go through changes that you did not know were coming.
Yeah. Prime example, Kirk Cameron, going back to him, when he was doing Growing Pains, a part when he got saved, and he was like, it was a part where they were saying like him and his girlfriend was living together, and he was like, I'm not living together with her. That's not what we doing. Like, he said that at his height.
But is there no room for acting, right? This is not you. This is a character you're playing.
But I think for you as a believer, if you feel like, if you have that mindset, like, this is a role, this is not me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about, I'm having a blank for today. Like, Insecure, the actress Molly. She's a believer. Like, she'll tell you she believes in Jesus and everything. But her acting, Molly is out there, like, you know what I'm saying? But she's like, I'm not
Brayley
Molly.
Evans was sitting right here.
Yeah. I'm not Molly. I'm not the person that y'all see me on the screen. I'm acting.
Okay, so here's where the Christian part becomes challenging, because you can say that this is not me, I'm playing a role. But by being in that, you're also saying this kind of lifestyle is okay, right? Aren't you kind of semi-endorsing it? Because people love Insecure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women that watch that and will be like, oh, okay, I mean, that's just like me. I'm good, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing in it that I didn't watch it. My wife would have to tell me. Is there redemption at all in this?
I mean, well, here's the thing. Her character, though, was having, I think, if I'm mistakenly right, her character, you could see the effects of her being the way she was, and how her character was getting not screwed, but her skewed. Her mindset was getting skewed. Like, it was like, you know, not being like, if you watch that show, like, she made a joke, because she's a stand-up comedian too. She made a joke of saying, like, she got into a Uber, and the driver was like, "Yo, you on that show? That show that the women make bad decisions in?" And she busted out laughing, and they were saying that to people. But I think Yvonne Orji, that's her name. So I think that's the thing where people got to understand that. Even if I'm playing a role, if I'm playing a role and I know it's a bad role, but I have the purpose of saying, hey, I want this to be seen so people can know this is a bad person to play. Same thing in like Training Day. Great example.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington said, y'all got to kill him off. He said he wrote on the script.
Clearly a bad person.
Yeah,
but he had influence over that.
Yeah, but he was saying that the wages of sin is death, and he wrote that on the script like, yo, this person got to die because he's just an evil person.
I guess that's a good example of how but again, he had to say and do things in that film that a Christian would squirm at, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that as a Christian, even if it ends up a positive message? How do you physically go through those scenes as a Christian and still be like, I'm good?
I don't know, man. I think that's a hard thing, bro. And I'm not an actor. I think that the thing is just, I think that's what it goes back to, that Hollywood mask of you putting on a mask and learning how to put on that mask perfectly and still keep yourself away from it. You know what I mean? Because I think the problem is in movies is like we some people don't see it as a movie. Some people see it as real life. So you may see an actor that played a role so well that you hate that person and you want to, like, man, I can't stand you. Like, I don't know you. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I just don't know, man.
You also have to take into consideration that even if you think you're playing this role of a bad person and it's obvious to everybody that this is a bad person, you shouldn't act like that. I would say the same thing about Scarface. Yeah. It's clear that guy was a bad person and he got his comeuppance at the end. But there's a lot of people who want to be Scarface.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. That movie still runs.
It didn't
today.
work.
Yeah.
The message didn't land. They still want to be him.
Yeah.
So you're risking inspiring people to do something that you think you're shying them away from.
I'm saying it's options out there, Sean. It's not like it was back in the day when you
call
kind
up
of
Pure Flix and just...
No, I'm not saying you have to do that. You may have to create your own content. You may have to...
Well, I would just say we're on that path. It's hard.
It is, but
It's
no,
hard,
but
guys.
I would say this too. I would say this.
We're still doing it.
No,
We're still doing it.
I would say this. There's not a lot of excuses for it to not to. It's easier to do it than it was 5 years ago. You get what I'm saying? Like somebody could literally save up money. I've seen people do a movie off their iPhone.
Yeah,
It's possible to do it.
It's just a lot harder.
And it just may be. I know. I remember a show. I don't name the show because the name is crazy. But they were just doing stuff in New York, and they got hot, and they just put it all on YouTube. Same thing with Issa Rae.
Yeah.
Before she did Insecure, she did the same thing.
But then she had to go to the big.
Yeah,
big
but what I'm saying to you, you just got to start somewhere.
And the big studio she went to convinced her to put more nudity and more sex in the show. Because,
but what I'm saying
this
to
is
you
HBO,
is,
you got to take
but
them
what I'm
clothes
saying
off.
it went from her just standing in the mirror trying to bust a rhyme and doing all this to her getting that deal. But at the same,
I'm just trying to prepare them for when the deal comes at some point.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be super, super serious at this, these are some of the decisions you're going to have to decide ahead of time. I don't want you trying to decide in the room with the contract.
yeah,
in
you
front
do
of you.
need to know.
So
you
that's
need
it.
to know that.
Anyway, let's get back into it. You in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Shantana, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.